He was gone. Then came the helicopter. The neighborhood hadn't seen him in years. Some thought he was dead. Others whispered he was in jail. A few believed he just ran off with someone else's wife. What no one expected was what landed on the soccer field behind the abandoned club, a private helicopter. It came without warning, slicing the sky open on a Thursday evening right after the sunset. Red lights blinking, gold lining on the sides. And when the door opened, nobody could believe what they saw. It was him, the skinny guy from the mechanic shop, the one everyone used to call Zika, who once begged for rides on that same street. But this time, Zika wasn't just different. He was unrecognizable. His beard was silver. His suit screamed money. His shoes looked like they cost more than a motorcycle. And in place of shame or awkwardness, he had a smirk that could buy silence. As he stepped out, two women followed. Both models, both smiling like they'd won the lottery, and maybe they had. Behind them, two men in suits unloaded gift boxes from the helicopter as if it were Christmas in Dubai. One neighbor fainted. Another tried to take pictures, but a bodyguard said, "No photos. Mr. Z is private now." Except he wasn't Zeka anymore. Now they called him the Silver Fox. Nobody knew what happened. Rumors spread fast. He won the lottery, found a treasure, was adopted by a dying billionaire. But he just smiled, hugged a few shocked faces, and said one sentence, "I came back to throw a little party." What followed would become legend, not just for the money, the fireworks, or the imported champagne, but for what people found inside the house he used to rent, the place where the party happened. Because deep inside that house, in one locked room, was a clue to how he made his fortune, and why he would eventually disappear again. The party everyone wanted in, but few survived. They say the music could be heard from 3 blocks away. The invitations, there weren't any. You either were on the list or you weren't from this world. That night, the once abandoned house was transformed into a glowing mansion of gold, glass, and gilt. Red carpets rolled over cracked pavement. Golden champagne pyramids stood like towers of temptation. And on the walls, giant LED screens showing old photos of Zeka, the poor mechanic, now reborn as the yacht magnate. He didn't walk, he floated. A long white coat, cufflinks shaped like lion heads, glasses that changed color under the lights. People screamed when he raised his hands. "To freedom!" he shouted. "To fortune!" But not everyone was cheering, because some knew what wasn't being said. Inside, the party blurred into fantasy. One room had a waterfall wall that served cocktails. Another had only pillows, imported from Dubai with dollar signs sewn in silk. Dancers dressed as angels offered cigars dipped in whiskey. And outside, 3 sports cars revolved on a motorized platform like trophies spinning in slow motion. It was wild, too wild. Someone was bound to talk, and someone did. Near the 3rd hour, a woman, Brazilian accent, fire-red dress, whispered something to a journalist hiding behind the DJ booth. He wasn't supposed to come back. "Why not?" the journalist asked. "Because the money wasn't his." That line, 6 words, would spark the downfall of half the guests that night. Because suddenly, 2 men in black approached her. Calm, too calm. They asked her to step outside. She refused. They smiled. 5 minutes later, she was gone, vanished. Nobody saw her leave. But the party didn't stop. It got louder, stranger. A drone flew over the crowd, dropping golden bracelets onto people's wrists. If yours blinked red, you were VIP. If it stayed off, you were watched. And from the 2nd floor, the Silver Fox looked down. Not smiling, not laughing, just watching, as if waiting for someone. And he was. Because deep inside his new empire, there was one person he needed to see again. And that person wasn't invited. The uninvited guest, and the one thing he couldn't buy. Nobody saw him come in. He didn't arrive in a Ferrari. No golden drone dropped his name from the sky. No woman kissed his cheek. And yet, as soon as he stepped onto the marble floor, a silence swept the party like a cold wave. Because the Silver Fox recognized him instantly, and he wasn't supposed to be alive. His name was Carlos the Ghost Mendez, but no one used the nickname to his face. In the old days, before yachts, before cigars soaked in Dom Perignon, Carlos and Zeka had dug ditches together, brothers in poverty, but only one became a billionaire, because only one betrayed the other. Now there he was, not dead, not forgotten, and definitely not friendly. "Nice party, Veo," he said with a crooked smile. "Didn't think you'd survive long enough to enjoy it." Zeka froze. This wasn't part of the script. This wasn't planned. And Carlos wasn't here to dance. The music kept playing, but Zeka stopped hearing it. Carlos walked straight to the center of the room. People moved away like shadows fleeing light. Then he pulled something out of his pocket. An old key, rusty, with blood dried near the teeth. "Remember this?" Carlos asked loudly. "You should. You buried it with the truth." Zeka turned pale. That key belonged to a storage unit, long closed, long forgotten. The place where they had once hidden money from a deal gone wrong. A deal that Zeka had said never existed. A deal that Carlos had gone to jail for. But now, the past was dancing in his living room. Zeka raised his glass, trying to act calm. "Gentlemen, don't we all have a past?" Laughter, nervous, thin. But Carlos wasn't finished. "Let's ask your guests," he shouted. "Do you know your Silver Fox used to steal car radios for lunch money? That he once sold fake watches at the market? That he lied his way into his first million?" Silence. Then someone laughed. A woman clapped. Someone whispered, "No way." But the seed was planted. And the empire? It cracked. Later that night, as Carlos left, unharmed, untouched, Zeka sat in the upper balcony, gripping the champagne glass so hard it cracked. He whispered to himself, "If he wants war, I'll give him gold-tipped bullets." But deep down, Zeka knew the real threat wasn't Carlos. It was what was inside that storage unit, and once it was opened, even all the yachts in the world wouldn't keep the truth from floating to the surface. The secret vault, and the one crime that could end it all. Carlos hadn't lied. There was a key, there was a storage unit. And Zeka, the infamous Silver Fox Magnate, had hoped it would never be opened again. At exactly 3:33 a.m., under the cover of silence, his black SUV pulled up behind an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. His driver stayed in the car. Zeka walked alone. In one hand, a flashlight. In the other, a golden revolver. He wasn't there to look. He was there to destroy evidence. But when he unlocked Unit 19, he didn't find silence. He found her. Sitting on a dusty metal trunk was a woman in a red trench coat, black heels, a glass of whiskey, and a look that could slice through a man's soul. "Took you long enough," she whispered. "I thought the Silver Fox was never late." Her name was Valentina Cruz, ex-lover, ex-accomplice, ex-everything. She had vanished 5 years ago after one final job, the job that made Zeka his first real millions. The job that also sent 3 men to prison, 1 man to a grave, and her into hiding with a secret USB drive. Now she was back, and she wasn't here for small talk. She tossed the USB onto the floor. "Everything is on there. Offshore accounts, fake names, the bribe in Dubai, the yacht deal with that arms dealer from Monaco. Remember him? The one who fell off your boat?" Zeka didn't blink. He just said, "How much?" Valentina laughed. "It's not for sale. Not anymore." Zeka stepped forward, slowly, calmly. But then the warehouse lights flickered, and in the corner B he saw them. Cameras, microphones, police wire. It was a setup. Valentina was no longer just a ghost from his past. She was now an informant. The revolver lifted, the tension snapped, and then, bang. The sound echoed through the warehouse like a scream in a cathedral. But no one was shot. Valentina was gone. Just smoke, the USB, and a note. One more secret dies, and the world gets the rest. Zeka fell to his knees, not because of fear, but because for the first time in years, the man who had bought everything realized there was one thing he couldn't control: the story. A fortune in flames, and a name that vanished from the map. Zeka didn't sleep that night, not because of guilt. He had long buried that feeling under gold watches and imported cigars, but because everything he had built, everything he had buried, was now in someone else's hands. The USB drive, the cameras, Valentina. None of it was part of the plan. And now there were only two options: run or rewrite the game entirely. By sunrise, he was airborne. Private jet, seat 1A, Havana bound, not to hide, to buy silence. His offshore fixer, nicknamed El Tiburon, had one job: track down the location of the remaining copies of that USB. And if that failed, burn it all, Zeka said. Make it look like a tax accident. But what Zeka didn't know was that Valentina had already sent an anonymous email to 5 major news outlets, and only one thing kept them from publishing it immediately: money. And that's where the real game began. Zeka didn't send a wire transfer. He didn't threaten anyone. Instead, he pulled out an old, dusty contact from his darkest chapter, a Russian tech billionaire turned monk who owed him a favor after a casino deal gone wrong in Macau. One encrypted call later, and all 5 emails mysteriously vanished from every inbox. "One day you will owe me again," the monk said. "I always do," Zeka whispered. That night, Zeka threw the biggest party the island had ever seen. Champagne pyramids, a drone show spelling his initials in the sky, women in golden gowns and masks, and at the center of it all, him, the Silver Fox Magnate, smiling like a man who had won. But in the crowd, a young man stood quietly. He wore no suit, no designer watch, just a camera, and he knew exactly who Zeka was, because his father had once worked for the magnate and had disappeared. The young man pressed record. He wasn't filming the party. He was filming evidence, a story, a revenge, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of the fall. To be continued. Want to know what happens when the Silver Fox realizes he's being hunted? Subscribe now. The next chapter is darker, bolder, and it starts with a gunshot in Ibiza.